Morning, everybody. Thanks for joining in. Boy, did we have some football games yesterday. Man, we got a lot to talk about this morning. So let's just start out by let's start with the Ravens and Bills game. That was the game that ended the weekend last night. It was actually a good game. Baltimore just I don't know what it is about them. They just shoot themselves in the foot in the playoffs. And I was really pulling for Lamar Jackson in this game. I think it's high time for him to at least get to a Super Bowl and let's see what he can do. But every time he gets to a division game or the AFC Championship game, I just don't understand the interception, the fumbles, and I don't know why they just shoot themselves in the foot. I just don't understand what it is. Um, he's becoming like a choke artist in the playoffs now, and I feel bad for him because I really am pulling for him one of these days to get to a Super Bowl and see if he can win it. But at the end of the day, and at the end of the game too, they even had a chance after all the mistakes and the goofy shit that went on. They still had a chance. They scored a touchdown. 2-point conversion is all they needed to tie the game. He hits his receiver. His receiver's backing up into the end zone, hits him in the stomach, falls backwards into the end zone. I thought he caught it at first, but he dropped it. The 2-point conversion was not successful, and that was the end of the game for them. Too bad. I felt bad for him, but at least it was a decent game, unlike the Chiefs and Texans game that we'll talk about afterwards. That was just a joke. Is that it's like a circus anymore? But we'll talk about that afterwards. What's the next game here? Next game we had was the Washington beat the Lions. Now they beat them 45-31. I was surprised in a way because I did pick the Lions. I chose the Lions to win. By the way, I did pick the Bills in the other game to win, and they did eke it out. But the Lions, they're so decimated on defense. You almost have to pity the team. I want to say they have almost almost half of their starting defense is on injured reserve. It's just and everybody kind of knew going into the playoffs that if anything is going to beat the Lions, it's not going to be the Lions. It's going to be their defense is just destroyed this year with injuries and everything, and that's what happened in that game. And I give credit to Washington for putting up 45 points against them, even though most of the players, the defense's backup players, they still played a hell of a game. Detroit did; they got there. But at the end of the day, their defense was just too decimated to make a comeback and just win a game. I just felt bad for them too. But either way, Washington moving on, and they're like the Cinderella story. Rookie quarterback. They're the Cinderella story of the NFL this year, and good luck to them moving forward. It's going to be a good game against the Eagles, which we're going to go into the Eagles game now. Saquon Barkley just put on a show. The Rams, it was actually still a close game. It was 28-22. The Rams again had a chance at the end to pull this game out. They came up short on a fourth down. I think they were at the 20-yard line or maybe inside the red zone. They had a chance. But Saquon Barkley is just a beast. He ran for over 200 yards yesterday in the snow. It wasn't even a nice day. It was a terrible day. You could see it in Philly, a windy snow, and he just tore that field up. And Saquon is but that reminds me of something I want to bring up real quick. Saquon Barkley is the MVP of the National Football League. I don't want to hear about Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. Saquon Barkley is the MVP of the league. I think people forget what most valuable player means. If it means to their individual team, then Saquon Barkley is by far the MVP of the league. Does it mean the MVP of the league? How can you possibly gauge that? You can't gauge that. So you have to look at a guy. If Barkley's not on the Eagles, they're not even in this hunt, this playoff. I don't even know if they make the playoffs. Nothing against Jalen Hurts and all them, but if you think he's going to beat you in the air, he's not gonna. Barkley is a beast. He should be the MVP of the NFL this year. But if you look around, his name is just kind of thrown in there. As soon as the season starts, it's automatically a quarterback. It's like nobody else plays football. It's not a running back, a wide receiver, a defensive guy. No, nobody. They're automatically saying Josh Allen's going to be MVP this year. Lamar Jackson again, probably Patrick Mahomes. The NFL doesn't even consider another player other than a quarterback is going to be the MVP this year. I think that's bullshit. Saquon Barkley is the MVP in my book. I don't care what anybody says. He should be the MVP of this NFL season. And so finally, so now we have the Eagles are going to be home against Washington, an NFC East clash for the NFC champions. Should be a decent game. We'll talk about that during the week. I want to look at the injury reports. I want to see what the line is, the weather coming into Philly in the weekend. I'd like to see all that before I actually predict who's going to win that game, or at least my prediction anyway. And but it should be a pretty good matchup. They meet twice a year because they're in the same division, and so it should be a pretty good game. And next we'll have the Bills against the Chiefs, who, wow, surprisingly won a game against the Texans. I picked the Chiefs to win this game just because I know the referees are on their side, and the Texans were kind of still a young team getting in there. But I have to say that in my opinion, they outplayed them. Texans, that is, they outplayed the Chiefs, and the Chiefs once again, and I don't really care who feelings this hurts. I don't care what anybody out there thinks. Anybody watching my video, you can comment, tell me how crazy I am. But the Chiefs are coddled, and they're favored by the NFL referees. It's a circus. It's a sideshow when they play. The NFL, in my opinion, now has just it's become like it's just another multi-billion-dollar money-making organization. That's all that it is. And anybody who watches it watches the shows. I mean, the games, the Taylor Swift stuff up in the press box, and now she had the basketball player, Caitlin Clark, I guess her name is. Which, by the way, what are you doing up there with Taylor Swift? You're better than that. She's sitting next to her, and the camera keeps flashing up there, and so many questionable penalties, so many ridiculous calls that just weren't calls. Just watch replays, watch the game, and it's just absolutely become, in my opinion, I've been watching football my whole life. Understand that, and I've never seen anything like in the past 5 or 6 years. The referees, and I don't care what Roger Goodell or anybody else says, anybody who doesn't see this is either not a fan of the sport or is just a Kansas City Chiefs fan. Anybody from and everybody's starting to see it now. If you watch some of the interviews, the Texans coach yesterday, we're playing against. He came up this short from saying we're playing against the referees and everything else, but they can't say it because the NFL will fine them. The NFL will actually fine a player or a coach if they say anything disparaging against the NFL referees. I mean, so much for free speech and saying what you want to say, because damn well these players would absolutely roast these referees. They call penalties. I noticed one thing too. I'm watching games with my friends all the time, and they call penalties on the Chiefs. They sure they do. When they call them in the first quarter when the game is 0-0 and nobody really gives a shit. It doesn't matter. It doesn't change the outcome of anything. So they get their calls in. But if you watch these games, and you'll see when it really matters the most. When the Chiefs need a penalty to advance the ball, they get the penalty called on the defense. If you have the other team in a close game marching down the field, and it's almost like, we got to stop these guys because we don't want this to happen, it'll be a penalty. So a first down will be and 10 will become a first down and 20. Or if they get the first down, they'll call a penalty to bring it back. And when the Chiefs need something to extend the drive, they get it. If it's a hold, which, by the way, is such a subject call, you can call holding on any play in the NFL at any time you want. It's really ridiculous, and it's become unwatchable to me. The NFL is nothing more than a circus. It's a sideshow. It's WWE. But I'll tell you right now this, I give WWE more credit. I have more respect for them because you know what? WWE, that shit's not fake. Those guys get hurt. Those flips off the ropes and the things those guys do are real. The bumps and bruises and the things those guys do is real. The difference is the outcome is already determined in WWE. The hits and the flopping and the jumping around those guys do, these guys get hurt. There's guys that have broke their necks in the ring. There's guys that have died in the ring and out of the ring later. They have short lifespans, and I don't know why. Maybe it's the abuse their bodies take. Who knows what it is? All I know is this, is that I respect the WWE much more than I do the NFL, because at least you know that they're enjoyable to watch. It's entertaining, but at the end of the day, they already know who's going to win, and they don't make no bones about that. But it's still exciting to watch to get there. I would have more respect for the NFL if they would just come out and say, "You're goddamn right, we protect Patrick Mahomes. He's our cash cow. He's on State Farm commercials, Subway commercials, taco commercials. You can't turn your television on without seeing Patrick Mahomes on it. And he's not even playing football. So don't tell, and the networks pay for that. So don't tell me that they don't favor him and they don't favor that team, because you're just blind if you don't see it. And it's really become disgusting to watch. I'm even having trouble watching the games anymore because you already know what's going to happen. At least if you could respect the NFL, if they would just come out and say, yeah, of course we favor Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and these guys. Of course we do. They're our money makers. They're why the sponsors pay millions of dollars to have commercials. How else do you think the NFL can pay a guy $60 million a year to throw a ball? They don't pay it because idiots like me buy a hat or a T-shirt. They get it from sponsors, network sponsors, commercials. Those organizations pay millions of dollars for that 15 seconds, 30-second commercial. That's where they get their money from. They don't get their money from ticket sales and hats and jerseys. They don't. That's peanuts to them. They get their money from networks. They get their money from sponsors, commercials. That's where all the money comes from. That's why you can pay a guy $50 million to catch a ball. At the end of the day, this is a backyard game that's a kid's game. And you have grossly overpaid athletes playing it. And where do they get the money from? They don't get it from hat sales, ticket sales, and T-shirts. They don't. So I would just respect the NFL more if they just came out and said, you know what? Of course we favor the Chiefs. They're our team now. They're the ones that bring us all the money. Now we have Taylor Swift in it, and they want their Swiftie Bowls. They want these 13-year-old little geeky girls out there screaming with their dads, watching football. They've never watched football before. They couldn't care less about it. But this is what the NFL wants. And anybody out there that thinks that I'm just going on a crazy rant, I'm not. Watch the games and see. If you can't see that they don't favor this team, then you just don't know what you're looking at. You don't know what you're watching. The NFL wants... for some reason, the money is 90% of it, but I think they're also in this, they really want to erase the Tom Brady and the New England Patriot legacy of, like, because everybody knows that this was the best team for 20 years. And I know this because I watched Tom Brady and the Patriots own the AFC East for the better part of 20 years and own NFL for 20 years. They hated that. The NFL couldn't stand that. And I don't remember at all at any time watching these guys beat up my Jets 2 times a year for 15 or 20 years. I don't remember ever saying, boy, the refs are really pushing the Patriots over the hill here. Boy, the refs are really on Tom Brady's side. I just don't remember seeing that or saying it. You know why? Because it didn't happen. That's why. So I don't know if they would like to just erase that. They want so bad Patrick Mahomes to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. They just want to say he's better than Brady. The Chiefs are better than the Patriots of the day when they were in their heyday. I don't know if that's maybe part of it too, because they really want to push that. They're trying so hard. I didn't want to go on a really rant this morning, but I just want to tell everybody this, that football is a circus. The circus is in town. It's a sideshow. It's WWE with pads now. That's what it is. And it's never going to be anything different now because it's too deep into the money. It's too deep into the sponsorship. My God, they're even showing commercials on gambling now. I remember back in the day, and not very long ago, where if you even said gambling in the same sentence as the NFL, you were done. Now they have commercials on it. You can bet on how many times a guy picks his nose on the sideline, how many times a guy slips on the grass. They even have commercials to show you. But at the end of it, they say, if you have a problem, Here's the number in number 2 font on the bottom, 1-800-GAMBLING, if you have a problem. But yet they tell you go gamble only if you can afford it. So let's understand what the NFL is now. It's a circus. It's a sideshow. It's a gimmick now, is what it is. And I just want to end my video by saying one other thing. Kansas City and your Chiefs fans and your players, you'll never be the Patriots. You'll never be the Patriots in their heyday, in their 20-year run of terror on the NFL. And Patrick Mahomes, you'll never be Tom Brady. You will never be as good as him. You just aren't. So for all you Chief fans out there, if any of you watch my videos, drop me a comment. Call me a name, say something nasty if you want. I couldn't care less. But just remember this. The Chiefs will never be the Patriots of their heyday. And Patrick Mahomes will never be as good as Tom Brady. I don't care if he plays football 100 years. And I don't care how long the NFL shoves him down our throats and this team. So everybody have a good day. Leave me a comment below. Tell me what you think. The circus is back in town next Sunday. We'll cover those games when they happen. I think we already pretty much know who's going to the Super Bowl, but we'll talk about it anyway, just because it's fun to do. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It helps me out a lot. I enjoy it. I appreciate everybody. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Bye now.